Dadabase. I'm here with Tim Gottgetreu.
Yes.
Wow, I got it right.
You got it right.
I'm so great. When it comes to spelling, maybe I'll just go with Timmy G or something like that.
Yeah. My wife's a teacher, and she switched her name from Block to Gottgetreu, and now she's Miss G.
Right.
Yeah.
A really lovely woman, your wife.
Yes.
She's fantastic.
Yes. On the record.
So we're here at an undisclosed location. Tonight I'm drinking a Feckin' Oatmeal Porter. What have you got, Tim?
I've got the new Ninkasi IPA, and it was told to me by the bartender that it was tasty, and he was right. It is indeed actually tasty. I think it's almost better than their Total Domination. So
I'm not big on IPAs, but I'm just a bad Portlander that way. So I'm glad I've got you here.
Hey man, the stouts are solid in the wintertime.
Yeah. So you're familiar with the concept of what we're doing here. We're just trying to collect dad stories and experiences and insights and those sorts of things. And I know how we met, but why don't you go ahead and give me your perspective?
My perspective.
On how we met.
All right. I'd say it was kind of a self-selective process because we started a birth class called the Yoga Way to Birth. So in this class, we neither learned much about birth or yoga. Sorry, Tina. I know you tried. But the best thing about it was we met a wonderful community of people who wanted to learn about birth and yoga, but ended up finding each other. And we made a conscious effort to stay together, and we have for over 4 years now.
It's been great.
Yeah, my Alder's 4, so.
Isn't it crazy?
It's crazy.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Going to be 5 in a few months.
They're going to be starting kindergarten soon.
I know. Has there been like little issues of panic in your house?
Yeah, he's got a summer birthday, so we don't know if we're like, there's a discussion of red shirting him, where because he could go later, but he's so ready. He's starting to read now. It's like, gotta go to school. He's going to be so bored if he doesn't go.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're talking about Alder. Mm-hmm. Tell me about Alder.
He's such a sweet little boy.
Yeah, isn't he though?
Yeah, and he's smart and he's sweet, and he just, when he tells you I love you, it's just melts your heart. I mean, you don't see that coming when you're not a dad. You're like, oh yeah, kids are cool, whatever. I can play baseball, but like just the sweet love that you feel for him, you never see it coming. You don't see it coming until you have it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, you know what I mean. You're a dad too. You've got more kids than I do.
Yeah, I got a few. Yeah. I got a few. No, he's a fantastic kid. So, what's a favorite thing that you like to do with him, or what's a favorite memory? What sticks out about Alder for you?
Well, he's really curious, like mentally curious, and he's starting to ask. And this is just in the last 2 weeks. It seems like every 2 weeks he's come. There's some amazing new quality that pops up. You're like, whoa, I didn't know. I didn't know kids could do that in you. And he's starting to ask all these, deep, not sciencey questions, but just trying to figure out how the world works. How do we have air at nighttime when the trees aren't producing oxygen? And it's
holy crap.
I never thought of that, So luckily, the Earth's, the sun's on the other side of the Earth, and there's rainforest. But all of a sudden, you're like, I never even thought about that, And it's just like, Daddy, how did we talk about how evolution, life evolving from the oceans and things like that. Well, how did trees get out of the ocean? It's like, let me get back to you on that one. I'm pretty sure they came from there, but so just watching him grow and have all these wonderful, curious ideas that are pushing my boundaries, not boundaries, but just reinvigorating my curiosity for life.
Right.
In a way.
Right.
Not
seeing the world through their eyes.
Exactly. It's not like I'm losing curiosity for life, but it's exactly, you see it through their eyes as a fresh take, fresh questions. So
exactly.
And that's
things
cool.
that you take for granted. Right?
I've got air, man, so but it's light out, it's dark out, so okay.
Well, Alder isn't your only child.
No, yes, we have Ren Bird, and she is a spirited child. Alder's so sweet, he's very temperamental, he's very sweet and very chill, goes really with the flow. But Ren's got she knows what she wants. She's got an opinion, and if she doesn't get it, then she wants to get it.
That's fantastic.
So she's a totally different kid. And that's the other thing about kids, they're totally different. They both come from the same genetic pool, you know, this, and you know, if you're married, you know what I mean?
Right.
But and then they turn out so different, you know what I mean? Like she's got like blonde hair, you know, she looks like a Viking, not a Viking, but you know, she's
very Nordic.
Yeah, very Nordic, and you know, you can trace the lineage through my mom. Like my mother, and you know, my mom's side of the family is from Denmark, you know, straight from Denmark. So you can see, it's like you are the Danish baby, you know. It's like okay.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, Max has got the blonde hair, so she has a lot of the same sort of things. Her mom's side is I want to say Danish and some Swedish in there. And my side is Nordic as well. I've got Norway and Germany in there, so you see a lot of those things kind of come through.
Yeah.
And with my older ones, their mom is a wild mix of all these different things out of Europe. And just seeing facial structures, and those sorts of things.
Yeah, genetics is a crazy thing, man. And to be involved in that process, that you know, the passing on of genetic information is itself kind of like a head trip. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you are 50%. You have 50% of my genetic information in you.
Right.
You know, like that's pretty wild.
Well, I think.
Is that how it goes? Maybe that's wrong. I don't know.
No, I think that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is that it's a lot simpler to make them than it is to actually explain how they're made.
Yes.
So we don't have to get into that one right now. So what's something that you like doing with Ren?
Oh, Ren is she's like I said, like, you know, these new things just pop up, and she's like, you know, she's not a dad. She's definitely a mama's girl. You know, she always wants mama. But when she does switch to like the daddy's girl thing and just like getting nice hugs and cuddles, that's so precious. Because normally she's just glued to mom. You know, because mom's got the milk and she's still drinking milk and stuff like that. But so I think when we wean her, that tether will be separated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through that same thing. And it's really tough being the second class citizen of the parents.
Yeah, but you know, I get it. I don't have booze. I don't have the food. So.
Right.
So, but yeah, you know, it's nice seeing that. But you know, I mean, Rachel, my wife, she picks up more than her share. You know, because Ren's very hard to put to sleep. She's really hard to put to sleep, and I just can't. You know, I'm not good at it. Number one, she screams when I'm in there. No, not daddy, not daddy, mama. You know, and if I try to stay in there and like, you know, try for a while, it's like an hour of screaming. And after like working all day, it's just like, I don't want to do it. But Rachel's with her all day too, and she's got to like, you know, lay
you got to
there
have some sort of like,
Yeah, but still, you know, she puts in the extra effort there too. So, yeah, she's a little tougher than Alder, but they're both wonderful, wonderful children. I couldn't imagine not having either of them. It would be a darker world for sure.
Well, then that kind of brings me to my next question. What? I lost it already.
Yeah, no, you're probably going with birthing complications.
We're going to get there.
Okay.
We're going to get there. It just came back to me, my question. How has being a parent changed you?
Changed me.
Both having a son and also how has having a daughter changed you?
Oh, that's a deep question.
Isn't it though?
Yeah, well, I mean, I go to bed earlier. I don't go out as much. I don't drink as much. So these are good things. Those are all good things. You know what I mean? I definitely, I call myself more responsible. You know, I mean, you know, because I'm you know, now taking care of two, you know, a whole family and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, so I definitely, it ups your responsibility level a couple notches there, which is good. You know, you grow up, you should be responsible.
Well,
you know, within reason. You grow older.
Yeah. Maybe not up too much.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, it definitely keeps you at home, and, you know, like, you get home, you hang out with your kids, you make dinner, you put them to sleep, and you maybe watch something on Netflix and go to sleep, you know what I mean? Instead of, like, going out to happy hour or doing other things, or, you know. But that's cool, because you get a richer, you get a lot of richness in that space, you know what I mean? Like, at dinner time, you're reading books, or you're asking about how their day was, they're playing, you know, after dinner, they have naked time and run around all crazy for a little bit, get that energy out, and that's fun. And when you get home, they run, and daddy's home, and give you a big hug. So it's all like it's all totally worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's certainly it's rich. It's a rich existence.
Yeah.
But I try to keep a little bit of nugget of, myself, like, just to be a human in my own right, so I try to play music. I have 2 hobbies that I try to follow, and one is playing and making music, and the other is playing one video game. Just one. Don't branch out. Just one.
So what do you play?
I play Team Fortress 2.
Okay.
It's been around for 10 years, so it's all right. I main demo, if anyone knows what that means. So.
So you're touching on a whole slew of different sort of questions.
That was pretty broad. If you want to zoom in.
Yeah,
on
I'm going to pick and choose some of those. I would just say, as a fellow dad, that zooming in, or the moment that you come home and you hear that daddy's home, that giant rush, there isn't an adrenaline rush that I've ever had that is as good as that feeling.
Yeah,
that, oh my God, they love me so much. And I hate to tell you, there's going to be a day where
that doesn't happen.
Where it's just like, oh, Dad's home.
Yeah, Dad's home. Yeah, I mean, it kind of happened today. Ren was just eating a little pouch on the floor, and I didn't want to disturb her because eating is the thing or whatever. So it's like, okay, don't disturb Ren eating a pouch. And Alder was out playing with Mr. Potato Head, so just kind of snuck in. But then there's some days that are just like, Daddy's home, and they just jump into my arms, and I bike to work every day, so I'm in my rain gear,
right?
And I just jump into my wet ass rain gear, and it's like, Daddy's all wet. It's like, well, yeah, but it's great anyway. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then going to bed, putting them to bed. We've started I read them bedtime stories, which is awesome. But Ren's like sleeping, cuddling here, having her bottle, and all they're sitting there, and we're just reading these books in this bed, and that's got to be the best moment of the day. Just reading the bedtime stories.
Yeah.
Just sitting there, just kind of decompressing.
Rest of the day could be complete crap, but you get that moment.
You get that moment, and it maybe only lasts for 5 to 10 minutes.
But it's something.
It's worth all the other moments of the day. You know what I mean?
If I accomplish one thing today, I read a book to my kids, put them to bed. Yeah.
But it's just the feeling of, family, just a feeling of fatherhood. That's where you can almost viscerally feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It's really cool, actually. It's kind of cool.
So getting back to, have they changed you in a way?
Oh, yes.
A follow-up question to that would be, do you look at things differently? Do you look at, I don't know, maybe how you vote? Well, I understand you.
Well, I mean,
we have similar political outlooks.
Yeah. Okay, well, so here's something it's kind of weird. So they're proposing, and they're likely putting in a homeless shelter 2-3 blocks from here. It's a 120 bed low barrier shelter. So that means anyone can go there.
Right.
Drug addicts, they don't have to be sober. Child molesters, they just they can go there. Anyone can go there. And so maybe if I didn't have kids, I'd be like, they need a place to go, and this is my neighborhood, and I can share my neighborhood with them. But as a father, it's just like, dude, I don't want needles in my alleyway. You know what I mean? I don't want to go outside and have my Alder running around, playing basketball, and be like, Daddy, what's this? It's a needle. And all of a sudden he's got syphilis or something. You know what I mean? So that it certainly adds a layer of protectivity. You want to create a safer space of your home, and so there's that whole protective aspect turns on, and I think that's normal. It's just you want to protect your family.
Yeah.
So
Injecting my own sort of feelings on that. I've got 4 daughters, and prior to having daughters, I was a teenager when I first started out, but for the most part, women's issues were just that. It was women's issues. It's not that were against them, but I just didn't give them much thought because I didn't have reason to.
Yeah.
And now here I am at 40, 41 years old, and I've got 4 daughters, and I've got a wife, and surrounded in my entire life with women. And now I find that women's issues, women's health, making sure that they've got insurance, and
breaking the glass ceiling.
Exactly. All of those sorts of things all of a sudden matter significantly more to me in these days.
Yeah.
And you hear really terrible stories about. There's the most recent Michigan State sort of like,
story. Jesus Christ.
Dr. Nasser, and the 160 women came forward and read off statements in order to tell them exactly how they felt and all of those sorts of things. And I look at that as a parent, or just as a human being. And you're like, this is horrific. This is absolutely reprehensible. And how do I protect my kids from that? From that, and realizing that the only thing that I've got is just having regular conversations with them of like what's acceptable
going on?
and what's not, and making sure that they feel comfortable with whatever scenario that they end up in. And even then, you're still just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that they just don't
So here's a very personal story on the Dadabase. So I was sexually abused as a child.
Holy shit.
And I went through a major PTSD episode in college. My college friends know this, so it's it's in the public knowledge or whatever.
Okay.
So that certainly, I would never want my kids to experience that. Having experienced that for myself, so like I'm very, like anything, even just maybe oversensitive, you know what I mean? Like I won't let my kids go outside naked in the front door, all their love is running around naked, but I don't let them go to the windows, I don't let them go outside just because I don't want anything like that. But you try your hardest and you never know, I mean, like my parents were great parents, it's like, it was just a shitty situation. It was just a shitty thing that happened, and maybe that's also why the protective shield raised a little bit, just because I went through something like that, and that's just like totally fucked up, and it messed me up. So I don't know if we can curse on the Dadabase.
You can curse all you want.
But it fucked me up for years, dude. Maybe a year and a half of college. That was rough, but I landed on my 2 feet, and
I'm so glad that you're here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no. I mean, with the whole Me Too movement. It's everybody, you know what I mean? It's like, it's everybody. It's like, it's fucked up that that's a thing, what I mean? It's like, why can't we just treat people with respect and accept their personal boundaries and spaces and give them the respect that they deserve? So, and especially children, So I get what the whole, that the gymnast doctor thing, I was like, that motherfucker.
Yeah. No, I've been steaming about it for a good week now, ever since I started really paying attention to it. And the amount of courage that it took for those women
to come forward and
actually say something. And I think for anybody who's been abused, in order to be able to step up and say that, it's a level of courage that can't be commended enough. And I don't feel any sort of contempt for those who aren't able to, because it's it's incredibly hard thing to go through, I'm sure.
And most of the times you don't even realize it until you're much older. It's
true. It's really true.
So you just the protective dad thing turns on. Like going back to your original question of, do your politics change? Maybe not your politics, but a little bit of your world outlook. You're creating a nest and a safe space, and you don't want anything to happen to your kids. Obviously, no one does, but that certainly turns on.
Well, it goes back to the old saying of that everybody hears when they have a child, or just about everybody, I would imagine, of it's no longer about you. Your life isn't about you any longer.
No, it's not. That's a good point.
It's about
the kids,
guiding these children through as best you possibly can through life, and helping them figure out what that means. So, I really appreciate you sharing that.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we're on the Dadabase, man. Laying it down.
Absolutely.
Laying it down.
Absolutely.
Laying the truth down,
Real talk. Real fucking talk. Okay, so you had mentioned it earlier. Let's just take a really quick break and reset a little bit. I've got some follow-up questions. We're going to talk a little bit about what your experience was when the children were born.
Oh, yes, okay.
And I think you've got some really good advice and insight on that.
I hope so. Yeah.
We'll talk soon.
All right.
Okay, we're back. Woo! You got another new refill?
I went with the same Ninkasi new IPA. I don't know what it was
reason
called.
to change what works.
No, it was good. And you know, the thing about IPAs, if I have an off one, I get a hangover like that. Like even if I just drink one that doesn't suit me, so I have to be really careful with it. But this one's, I think this will do me okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm finding that as I'm getting older, you know, they come a little bit more often, and they're a lot harder to recover.
Yeah,
from.
well, especially when you have a kid. You know, like I just used to party and be like, whatever, hangovers, buy the ticket, take the ride. It's like what? It's it's part of the trip. And now, like, when you have a kid and you're hungover, like, you still have to be a dad. You have to get up and get breakfast and, like, be entertaining. Like, we don't really do TV in the house. We watch one movie on Sundays. So it's like, in the morning, you can't just turn on the TV and go lay down. It's like, okay, we're reading books and building statues. I don't know, man. It's like, yeah. So with a hangover, it's like on a harder level. You know, it's like you're playing a video game and you put it to difficult. You know what I mean? It's like...
Oh, yeah. Please don't bang that together right now. Yeah. Well, you've got quite a few musical instruments for the kids to play with as it is.
Yeah.
So, do you just tell them to have like quiet time or something, or?
We do quiet time.
All right.
We do quiet. Yeah. When we need a break, you know, Ren still naps, so she goes, takes a nap, and Alder just lays in his bed, reads some stories.
Sure.
You know, or you know, when we need to, we do give them a phone and let them watch PBS Kids. But you know, Nature Cat's pretty solid.
Daniel Tiger.
Yeah, Daniel Tiger.
Big Daniel Tiger fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Pratt Brothers.
I don't know about that one.
Okay. All right. I want to say that that's PBS, but it's two brothers who give you a little bit about a particular creature, and then they switch over to this animated show.
Yeah, okay, I have seen that one. Yeah, that is PBS Kids.
Yeah.
And there's one series on Netflix called Storybots.
Yes.
Storybots is sweet.
Big Storybots fans.
I mean, it's sweet for me too, because like I don't know, it's like it's got enough adult humor in it where it's like, you know, it's not, you know, it's watchable.
So. You brought up birthing complications earlier.
Yeah.
And it is with mixed blessings that you did, because we have Ren.
Mm-hmm. Thank God, man.
Absolutely. But it was a rough ride to get there.
Yeah, we were very lucky.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so you know, we went for the standard ultrasound thing, you know, and they said there's complications. Like, okay, what's the complication? So apparently there was a blood vessel very close to whatever, the birth canal or whatever, like over the.
Okay.
You know, so if the if Ren comes out, the blood vessel could pop, and then the baby would die. Then Ren would die. You know, and it would happen within 30 seconds. There's nothing you could do. She'd suffocate. You know, because you're not breathing, and especially if it's like a 8-hour labor or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we had to keep going back to the specialists, and we had to keep getting more and more ultrasounds and stuff like that. And they're like, it's not getting better. It's not getting better. It's not getting better. We need to do a C-section, a month before your due date. So she would be born premature. So that was a lot to wrap your head around, because like all of a sudden, like instead of having we always wanted to do the first birth, we tried to do a home birth, and we started out at home, but Alder didn't come out quite as easily as we'd hoped. So we ended up having, my wife ended up having a cesarean in the hospital. So we weren't allowed to have the second birth. We weren't allowed to try again, because once you have a cesarean, you shouldn't do another home birth. Right. You're not allowed to do a home birth after a cesarean, because that's what the doctors say. Anyway, and they're smart. They know more about that than I do.
Right.
So it's like, okay, that's totally fine. But so we were scheduled to have my wife was scheduled to have a C-section. So that was really hard getting your head around, like, okay, we're having a premature baby. And so that's like a lot of the literature, a lot of studies, like premature babies might have not necessarily developmental disorders, but like they're slower to catch on. There are some there's some literature saying they don't like quite, hit all the peaks right on as a baby brought to full term, blah, 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 blah. So that was like, for me, that was like, oh my God, like right out of the gate, you know, like you're already like, you know, not necessarily behind. I don't want to say anything about people who have had, you know, premature babies and had like successful birth, you know what I mean? Oh yes, okay, so now I'm telling you.
Yeah,
okay.
I was premature. I was
Were you?
premature
Okay.
2 months.
2 months?
2 months.
Okay. Well, you're doing fine.
Yeah, well, for the most part, yeah. I mean, I can be a little slow on the uptake from time to time, but
it was just, you know, you get the news and then you Google things. You know, that's the thing.
no. And all of that's legitimate, so you know, I'm not trying to discount that in any way.
But you know, I mean, but yeah, you know, I mean, but you don't know, like, you don't know what the scale is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's probably marginal at best or whatever, but still, it's in your head. You know, and so we went back for the final ultrasound before we were going to have the C-section. Or Rachel was going to have the C-section. It's all her. She had to go through it, not me. And they said it's fixed. Yeah, no shit. It's like,
Wow.
Okay, are you sure? Oh yeah, we're sure. Like we checked again. We brought in all the specialists. We were OHSU, so it's like they're
You're at the right
top of
place.
line,
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
like, those dudes were awesome, and we're like, okay, well if these guys say it's okay, it's like, okay, I guess we're going to full term and trying to have a birth. You know, so we did that, and it was actually right after we had a baby group potluck.
Yeah.
Tatiana Stevens. We had a baby group potluck, and then we said goodnight to you guys.
Yeah, you guys were doing great that night.
Like literally, like we were hanging out that night.
Yeah.
And then we said goodnight to y'all, and then Rachel was like, I think we're having the baby tonight. And we took some walks around the neighborhood.
Right.
And we went into the hospital to have the baby.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then so she's pushing, she's doing all the baby things, and it's not coming along, just like Alder, so there was some complications back then. And then after hours, 10 hours or whatever, it was late, so it must have been around 3-4 a.m. in the morning. They're like, okay, well, their water's not broke, should we break the water? It's like, I don't know, dude, you're the doctor. Like, this is like, what do you mean should we break the water? The fuck, man. Okay, I don't know. What do you think? It's like, well, we could break the water. It might move it along a little bit. So, again, you're the fucking doctor. Why don't you But I guess they need to bring you into the thing.
Right.
They probably would have just said, let's break the water, but they wanted to make us a part of it. That's cool. So, but we said, sure. All right, we'll break the water. And they got the little thing and broke the water. Water came, but not the baby. But it's just water.
Right.
Yeah, it's just water. So again, so she keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. She's trying to give birth, and they have the heart monitor or whatever. And they start seeing a dip, and then all of a sudden it's like within 30 seconds she's out of the room, having another C-section. It was just like that. It was just like the baby's failing, like go, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden she's gone, and like they didn't even know if I could go in. To be, did you go through a cesarean?
No.
Or did your wife? Or no? Okay.
No, neither one of us.
Well, you're lucky. You're lucky then, because it's not only did Rachel give birth, she also went through a major operation, and she had to recover from a major operation while raising a newborn. So they're really hard. So, but the dad is allowed to be in there if they're awake. But if they knock him out, they're not allowed to be there. But so I didn't even know if I was allowed to be in there because they moved her out so fast and all the the pain, whatever. So then they come back 5 minutes later, and or not even 5 minutes later, 2 minutes later, they say the baby's stabilized. We got her on page. You can come back in, and then with Alder was also cesarean, and she worked through it, and she did all the good things, and then they at the end of that, Ren was beautiful, born, and all sorts of good groovy things like that. And then they're like, can we keep your uterus, or not your uterus, your placenta?
Placenta.
And Rachel's like, no,
there's a difference.
Yeah, there's definitely a big difference. She said, no, we want to plant a tree with it. You put it under a tree. We don't eat it. But we're not that hippie, but we're hippie enough that we want to like plant a tree over. Sure. But it's still in my freezer 2 years later. So if you're watching, honey, it might be time to plant the tree. Sorry. Can freeze it. But they wanted to keep it because it was the oddest shaped placenta they had ever seen. This is OHSU, the medical research hospital. It was a donut shape, and there was not one blood vessel over the birth passage. The entire thing was covered in blood vessels. So when the doctor came back after Ren was born, she said, when we popped the water, when we broke the water, that was not risk-free. Had we been over a little bit, any direction, and hit a blood vessel, Ren would be dead. It's like, what are you talking about, man? Seriously. After all the stuff, it's just like, so, whenever I see her, I'm just like, thank God you're here. And like, she's such a light, she's such a force of life. Like, that's the one thing she's got going for. She's like, she's a force,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine the world without her, you know what I mean? It's just like, God. So yeah, so that one was a close scare, big time.
Sounds like it. Well, I'm glad that she's here.
Yes.
So, a few follow-up questions to that.
Yeah.
What sort of advice do you have for dads you've had two. Mm-hmm. So let me first start off. I'm looking for a whole bunch of advice here.
Okay.
I want advice for other dads who already have a child. How do you prepare that child for a new sibling?
Oh, God.
Right? I'm looking for advice on how you handle being in a room like that and having to make rapid fire decisions that have to do with your wife and your newborn child.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you deal with after the child has been born and you go home and you have this entire family that you have to take care of? You said that it's really hard for a woman who's just had surgery, major surgery.
Major surgery, they cut open.
Right, and it's trying to take care of a child at the same time.
Not only two children, like if you have two, it's a lot. Okay, so the first one was, what was the first one?
How do you prepare a child?
We read a lot of books.
Yeah.
We read a lot of books. Like your baby's, you're the big brother now. Like really playing up the big brother role. Like Big Brother's cool. So and he was really excited when she first came, but like after 2 weeks, he probably thought she was gonna go away. You know what I mean? He didn't quite get the fact that she would be there forever. So
Right.
So maybe my advice would be like, okay, read the books. There's plenty of good children's books designed about, you're the big brother now. Big brother helps baby do this, and big brother helps baby do that. Just kind of getting that thing, but also just be like, and baby's gonna be here for a long time. Baby's not going anywhere.
Right.
So that would have been nicer on the front end for Alder to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. Sorry. The second advice question.
Yeah. The second one was, how do you deal with your emotions when you're in a situation where
rapid fire decisions in your Yes. I was telling them to just make coffee, just pots and pots of coffee, because they're really, the nurse is really wonderful there. We need new coffee. But it was like 4 o'clock in the morning after, we'd been up all day.
Yeah, that's an extra.
We had been to a party, you know what I mean? It's just
right.
like, okay. And then all of a sudden you didn't know you were making life or death decisions, but you ended up making life or death decisions, and luckily it all worked out. So, confer, like Rachel and I talked it over as best we could, as best we knew, but, in the end, we tried to trust what the doctors were telling us, however subtly,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just try, because doctors, they're trained professionals.
You're putting your faith in them.
Yeah, I'm putting my faith in science, basically. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you get everybody home.
Yes. So when we got home, luckily we were blessed to have a very supportive family, extended family, but like the in-laws and my parents, and we've got a lot of people in town, so we had a lot of support. So we were very fortunate like that, and we still are. We were very close. We have a big extended family. So we're very fortunate with that. So, but you know, it's hard for people because if they move to a new city or if they don't have that, you know, that's really hard. You know, and you're just, and you know, maybe the baby's not sleeping, and you know, it's just, yeah, that's hard. And like for me, luckily, like I didn't have to live that because we had a lot of extra support just with the family. But wow, yeah, that's hard. Coffee, I guess. Oh no, I don't know. Man. Yeah, that is hard, especially, you know, especially like a young couple or something that moves to a new city. Like, I mean, there's plenty of people that move to Portland that don't have this family or support here, and you know, they have kids, and it's hard, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but you know, I guess the one advice that I will say is things do change every like 3 weeks or something. Your baby develops in a new way, or you know what I mean. So, and your existing child will adapt very, very fast because, you know, children are highly adaptable. So if you're going through a really tough moment now, it will pass.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It will pass.
Absolutely.
You'll hit a nice patch. You'll be able to get some rest to regain regain yourself, and then you'll hit another rough patch. There's always another one. It's always coming. But it's sick.
Let me tell you, those little rough patches continue to happen.
Yeah.
There's no stop to them.
Yeah, we're looking at Ren and being like, I hope she's getting it all out now before high school. You know what I mean? It's like, God, this girl, man. But I want to circle back. So, you know, how I was saying, like the scientific literature about premature, whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
There's also a bunch of scientific literature, or maybe it's whatever, about cesarean babies or whatever, and maybe how they're not. I read something about how they're not affectionate or cuddle as much. But I will say that is BS, because like Alder is the sweetest little cuddler ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would like to say, don't trust Google all the time. You know what I mean?
What's the best advice that you got in dealing with infants and babies and those sorts of things as a new dad?
As a new dad?
Yeah. What sticks out to you at least?
I didn't sleep a lot as a new dad, so I don't quite remember.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Well, I'll give you a couple of examples of stuff that was fed to me. And I'm just going to go with my most recent child, because I'm an old man now. I can't remember back 20 plus years.
I can't even remember.
One of the things that they had talked about was just like, as soon as you can, get chest-to-chest, skin-to-skin contact.
Yeah, we did that.
That was really big.
We did that one.
And they talked about making sure that your baby, as they develop, gets as much tummy time as possible.
Yes, okay.
That helps with their development. And there was one nurse who was talking to us in one of our pre-birth classes that said, as a dad, if you have a large extended family like what you were talking about, where grandma and grandpa are coming over, or the in-laws are coming over, your responsibility is to take care of your wife. And if they are being bothersome, then it's your job to escort them out. However nicely you want to do that, that's up to you, but you need to make sure that your wife and child are getting their rest. And so if they come over, then they're more than welcome to, but maybe you tell them, like, you're more than welcome to come over. You're here to help the mom. It's the mom's job to take care of the child. And it's your job as the father to essentially supervise everything that's going on.
Yeah, just go out. Yeah.
Right. And so they had suggested that if somebody asks if they can come over and see the new baby, you'd be like, yeah, we just ask you that you help jump in and do like a load of dishes. Or something like that. In order to help out, because everybody's too damn tired.
Man. Yeah, like you're not on hosting duty. No, luckily with, again, I'm very fortunate with my extended family situation that, you know, they were the ones doing the dishes. You know what I mean? Like they were already on top of that. But you know, I've heard stories where it's not that, you know, where you're expected to host or something. And it's like, no, man, like you're just trying to get through, dude. Like, fuck it. Like, I'm sorry I don't have a cheese platter. Like, you know, my wife just had major surgery.
Yeah. Oh man. My wife, when she gave birth, my wife Sonia, she made a deal with me that she would take the overnight shift, and our baby slept in our bed for 2.5 years. I've got thoughts on that I might not share right now.
2.5 years ago, yeah, our baby slept in our beds for 5 months, and then we moved him downstairs to their own room, but it's still in a floor bed.
Right.
But, I've got thoughts on that as well, or my wife does, because, she's still sleeping a lot in the floor bed, you know what I mean? So
right.
It's
no, it really did work out, but as a wedded couple, it sometimes kind of cramps your style a little bit,
Yeah.
You get it. But my point was that she made the deal that I would take everything up until about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. She would feed the baby, of course, because I can't do that. But I'd burp and change diapers and those sorts of things. And then from 10 until the next morning, she took the overnight shift, and she had a lot of time off of work.
Okay.
Which is something I'm going to get to here in a moment.
Okay.
And then I would wake up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and when they were brand new newborn infant, pick up the baby, change it.
Yeah.
After she's been fed, take her downstairs and sit her in my lap and play some Skyrim for a while.
There we go.
See? She's sleeping, I'm holding her.
Yeah, you're good.
All the best of all worlds here.
I do remember having Alder and Ergo and my laptop on the bar, playing TF2, and you're bouncing around. You slept through it.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. She would get her sleep. Once she got up, my wife, she'd come downstairs.
You did a sweet broadsword.
Yeah. Well, you always start out that way. You're like, I'm going to be the big brawny kind of guy. Every single time you end up being the sniper with the bow and arrow, sneaking around all the time. But she would come downstairs, when she was caught up on her sleep, or at least as much as she could. And I'd be like, okay, here's the baby. You go ahead and feed her. I'm going to make you breakfast.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll knock out an absolutely amazing breakfast. We'll get some eggs going. We'll get an omelet, or maybe some pancakes, or some egg tacos. Whatever I could find.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just to make sure that she's eating right and eating good food. I'd go take a nap, come back downstairs, make a nice, really good lunch. Maybe a salad, like a really monster salad with just a ton of stuff in there. And then when it came to dinner, that was our we're mailing it in. This is gonna be mac and cheese, or we're gonna get some pizza or some takeout or something like that.
We did a lot of chick nugs and French fries.
And it's tougher. It's tougher when you've got a 2-year-old, which is what Elder was at the time. Right?
Yeah, he was 2.
Yeah. So, I guess my follow-up question that I wanted to hit on then: how much time did you have off?
Not too long. I mean, I work at a small firm. There's 5 of us, and I'm the only person there that knows that can do what I do. You know what I mean? And it was either a week or 2. It wasn't more than 2. It wasn't less than a week. So it was somewhere in there, but it wasn't a lot.
When my first one was born, I had a couple of days.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's really small.
I was 18 and I was working full time in a hardware store. I had just become a full-time employee at that point. So it's not like I could afford to have a whole lot of time off. And then when my other kids came along, when Anna was born, I got maybe the rest of the week. She was born on a Tuesday, and I was I'm going to be out for the rest of the week. Yeah. And I just started at the job.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of new.
And they were like, well, okay, if you have to.
My baby.
Right.
Man.
but that's what the approach was at the time. And then a couple years later, Bailey was born, and I think it was very much the same sort of thing where I had like maybe a week, if that. And I don't want to say that I resented it. I resented the company for sure. Yeah. But what was I going to do? There wasn't. I didn't have a whole lot.
Man. So as a, you know, it's still weird to think of like as a dad you're bringing home a paycheck. You know, but I mean, you know. Yeah. It's weird to think that way.
Yeah, my mother-in-law came in on the last one, and we had my sister-in-laws. They were fairly close by, so they could come in and help, like you said, your extended family.
Yeah.
They kind of pitch in those times of need. So that was nice. But when Max was born, I had been at the same job, and I have been there for a really, really long time. So I had like 4 weeks of vacation.
Oh,
and they gave me 2 weeks of paternity leave.
Really?
So I had 6 weeks of just soaking in baby. And it was so amazing.
That's cool.
And so
that's cool.
Being the older guy that I am, and having been through those different pieces.
6 weeks. That's a long time.
But that's what it should be.
Yeah, it should be that.
That's exactly what it should be across the board for everybody. I mean, you constantly hear the worst thing that can happen to a new dad in America is to hear how much paternity leave that you can get in
Sweden
or Denmark or any of those
evolved
Nordic
countries.
Exactly. Because once you hear that you can get like a combined 6 months between you and your wife or a whole year, and you hear that you're like, well, maybe you can have like the weekend.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean?
This is not right.
Yeah, to like, you know, you're bonding with your baby over that time. You're taking care of your wife. You know, like you're hanging out with your other kid. You know, it's an important time that is missed.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But you know, I have, you know, it's weird. I have seen some other, you know, across the board. So my friends are keep having babies. And I've seen some, you know, at least on Facebook, like, I get X amount of maternity and my husband gets X amount of paternity. So like, I feel like it's moving in that direction, slowly. Slowly.
And right now we're at the mercy of the individual corporations.
Yes, yeah. Instead of an actual federal law being like 3 weeks, everybody gets 3 weeks.
Right.
At least, which it should be.
Absolutely. And it feels like it's going to be a long, long time, because that feels like given the other issues that we have in this particular country that are getting the attention right now, it feels like that particular issue is a luxury.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to get that one to the front burner.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff going on.
Right.
Yeah.
We won't go into it too much.
No.
All right. So, you have been very kind, and you've offered to bring us back to your studio, so that we can get a more insight to you. So what we'll do is we'll take a break.
Sure.
And when they come back, we'll be in an entirely new setting.
Yes, we will. We'll be in, I like to call it the Labatoire de la Musique Experimentale. I have a Facebook page, so we can, you know, of that.
We'll plug it.
Yeah,
we'll plug it.
Plug it.
Get that in there. Absolutely.
I get it's in French, you know, and I get random messages from French artists.
Oh, really?
Saying, can you show my work, or you know, I wrote this song, can you post it? And I do, you know, I just
sure,
why not? Exactly. Right. I got a message from someone in Austin, Texas, being like, is this a real thing? Because I'm visiting Portland. I'd love to see some experimental music. And I was, you know, we're closed. We're changing the space over to recording studio, so we're closed for a little bit. But it's just my basement. That's okay. So that's where we're going.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see you in a little bit. People.
Absolutely.
Welcome back, everybody. Here we are. We're in Timmy G's studio. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for coming.
Dadabase reference there, of course. Appreciate it.
All my little clubs. Yes. It's called the Labatoire de la Musique Experimentale. You can find us on Facebook and in my basement. So two
Fantastique.
places. Yes, fantastique.
So I'm drinking some Barrel Hutch whiskey, thanks to my gracious host. What do we drink? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Bad Hafiza, which I had never seen before, but is now my favorite beer. And apparently, I'm late to the party because it won gold medal in 2016. So, gold medal of what? I don't know. Maybe the Olympics. I don't. But it's good. So,
Winter Olympics are coming up.
yes, they are.
Do you have any favorite Winter Olympic?
Sports? The one that I mean, I love ski jumping because I would have always loved to be a ski jumper.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, I
that's
mean,
absolutely insane.
you're either successful or you're not.
It's
right?
insane. That one's insane. And then the other one I like, I don't know if I like to watch, but I like the idea of it, is like the cross-country skiing / shooting one. Because it's like,
yeah.
why?
Is that the biathlon?
Sure. I mean, there's
I'll
two
just make
there's
it up.
two sporting events, you know. So
Yeah. I always really enjoyed figure skating.
yeah, everyone. Yeah, my mom. loved
Everybody
it.
likes that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd watch that with my mom.
And everybody's an instant expert at it. Like,
Yeah. Oh, triple axel. He didn't land triple axel.
right. That was only a 2.5.
Yeah,
so.
it was a triple Lutz. Psh, whatever. Dude. Anyway, do a triple Lutz. What?
I remember watching the Winter Olympics when I was a teenager and having much more interest in the women's figure skating at that time. And that just so happened to be at the same time that the entire Tanya Harding and all that type of stuff was going on. So that is ingrained in my head enough as it is already. And I lived in the Midwest where we were completely disassociated with it. And it wasn't until I moved out here that I remembered that Tanya had trained over in Clackamas.
Yeah, she
over
was
at the mall over there.
Yeah, she was at the Lloyd Center.
Right.
And
So
she was a bartender at the old Swickley's Addition that just got knocked down for a new condo.
wow. Yeah. Gentrification. What can you do?
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to imagine that was something that was a much bigger deal here, and you must have been just completely overwhelmed by coverage.
Well, I'm actually from outside Philadelphia.
Oh,
Yeah.
born and raised.
Born and raised from outside Philly.
Okay.
Philly suburbs.
So, no, not as much coverage about
Not
it.
as much coverage.
All right.
But my wife is an Oregonian.
Right.
So.
Well, we'll pester her about
Yes,
it.
yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, we were going to delve back into dad topics.
You can put that here if you want.
I love putting it right there.
Yeah.
Put it right there. I'll be back.
Yes.
So, how did you learn to be a dad?
I mean, like everyone does, trial and error. It's just like, this isn't working. They keep crying. Try something new. Or it's just, and there's a lot of built-in. I mean, we're a species. We're a highly successful species. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of built-in. I don't know. I wouldn't call it necessarily knowledge, but you know what you need to do. I mean, like you need physically whatever you want your offspring to survive and be wonderful and productive and all healthy. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of innate ability. And if you're worried about being a dad, don't worry. You have it too, and we'll be able to figure it out.
Well, that's really, really interesting because the first interview that I had was with a very good friend, a coworker by the name of Derek Wilson, mm-hmm. who grew up without a dad.
Oh, really?
And his biggest fear, if you watch the third episode, the bonus episode, I take that back, it's the bonus episode.
Bonus.
He talks about being terrified of being
really?
a dad because he didn't have a dad to emulate. He didn't have that nurturing presence in order to follow. And so I'm sure he would have an interesting debate with you.
Yeah.
But I think he should also be able to gather some...
Is he a dad now?
He's not.
Will he be a dad in the very near future?
Only he and his girlfriend know for sure.
Okay. Because that would be good to do a follow-up episode to see if he overcame those fears, or if maybe he had a lot of innate dad ability.
When Derek has a child, when I say, we will definitely do a follow-up episode. In fact, I've got some kind of a spoiler for future episodes, I have some interviews lined up with some dads who just had a child.
Oh, okay.
And also are expecting children.
Oh,
so I'll
okay.
have a before and after with them.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be really, really interesting.
Yeah, that would be good.
But I think Derek would also be heartened to know that, from your perspective, that it is an innate ability to take care of a child.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think so. You know, it was not necessarily something I thought about before having a child. I knew I wanted kids, and you know, I met a wonderful woman, and we got married and had kids, and then all of a sudden you're a dad, and it's just, you know, it's a natural flow. You know.
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your dad.
My dad is a fun. He's an interesting dad. He's got a really fun voice. Tim, light the grill. You know, that was the one thing all my friends growing up would try to give. He's got a weird Wisconsin accent or whatever. But we worked a lot. You know, we did a lot of weeding and lawn mowing and sawing of logs and everything. So he was always super work focused. But he's an engineer. And he helped me build. I mean, he basically built this wonderful, you know, covered patio out back. Have you seen that?
I have. No, in fact, I got a chance to meet your dad. He is a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. And you know, okay, so I'll give you two examples. I'll give you two examples of how cool my dad is. Yeah. So number one is this wonderful covered patio. That's a beautiful covered patio. That
looks professionally built.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's an engineer and he knows what he's doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I just was up there swinging the hammer. No, you got to blah blah blah, and he did all the math. And he did all the math, and we ripped out my entire patio, and we poured a new patio, and we poured 16-inch like footers, and we have all this crazy wood. He always overbuilds stuff. That's okay. He's whatever. He always overbuilds stuff. But you know, if my house gets knocked down in an earthquake, my covered patio will still be covered. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we ripped out the patio. We did all this other stuff. My dad took care of it. You know, he thought about it all. He planned the whole thing. We went and bought lumber, and he showed me how to build it, and he helped me build it and all that stuff. And I won't forget when we put the piece of plywood on, and you know, we built it off the garage, and we put the piece of plywood on the part that we just built, and we slid it to the garage part, and it fit absolutely perfectly to the garage. And I was like, there's no way I would have done that. I would have been like 2 inches up or 4 inches down, you know. It was like, I don't know, you know, but it was just seamless. So, you know, like he knows what he's doing. But, you know, he was passing that on. Like, now I know how to I know how to build a covered patio. You know, he helped me with a lot of my plumbing work and all this kind of stuff. So he's like super practical in that way. Like, you know, he's very, very practical. And I learned a lot of practical home building skills from him. Yeah. But he's also very maybe not forgiving or lenient or just loving, you know, probably all of those things. Because, you know, I was not necessarily a wild child, but I certainly had a streak of wildness. And that streak lasted for years. You know, I mean, like, you know, I was arrested in high school.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I mean, for throwing a party at the house when they were down at the... there was a big part. I was student council president, ended up getting impeached because, like, I invited the entire high school to my house, and, like, I didn't even get grounded.
You got impeached for that?
Yeah, I know.
In school?
I tried to play it off. I was just, like, trying to bring people together, man. And they were like, bullshit, you're throwing a party. It's like, yeah, okay. I got kicked out of the fire department. It was like... whatever.
This is great.
Yeah, no, but you know, and both my parents were like, I didn't even get grounded. You know, I mean, I got like a stern talking to or whatever. They're like, you dumbass, like, you know, but they understood. You know what I mean? And then so we had this van. My dad was kind enough to purchase a van for me in college, you know, and like, so it was an Astra van or whatever. Right. And I was driving through, one time I went up to New York City. We were living in Philadelphia at the time, and I took this is going to be a rambling story. Are we going to ramble?
Yeah, you're fine. You're totally fine.
We're at the rambling part of the thing now. So we were driving up through the Lincoln Tunnel with a good buddy of mine, and we were going to see another buddy in New York City from Philadelphia. And man, I really needed to piss. I really needed to pee. So we're in the middle of the Lincoln Tunnel, bumper to bumper traffic, and I pee in a Wawa iced tea jug or whatever.
Uh,
You know, so that's cool. All the peas in the jug. I put the jug in the van, and then we needed to like park the van for 2 days to go to hang out in New York City with my buddy's friend or whatever. So we did that, and then at the end of those 2 days, we came back, and the entire van smelled like piss, just pee, just like the odor just like took over the van. And so my dad from that day called it the piss van because it smelled like piss because you know I'd peed in whatever.
Right.
So we're at another party later, after college or during college, whatever. Like the streak continues.
Right.
And I think it's a great idea to just take the van through the cornfield next to my house, and it was an amazing ride. I had several people, and we're driving through a cornfield, up and down, bouncing all sorts of crazy shit. You know, the back door is an Astro van, the back door's open, and some guy just fell out, you know, just head over heels, got up, ran, jumped back in the van. It was one of those just like absolutely amazing things. And you can only get to the cornfield through like some crazy woods. It was a very special ride.
So the corn, is this like fully grown corn?
It was, you know, yeah.
Okay.
There was a trail. Okay. And the next morning, the brake lines of the van are just shot. You know, the van's fucked up, you know. And my dad just brings me down, and he didn't yell at me, but he said, like, you know, I'm disappointed in you, and, like, you got to think when you're drinking, you know, like you got to do, you know, you got to keep a level of mental function happening, you know what I mean? And like, so that stuck with me because, you know, a normal person might have screamed or might have yelled or berated or freaked out or whatever, but that my parents and my dad were never ever like that. And I pushed the limits a lot, but they just brought it in, exhaled, and trusted me. You know what I mean? And that was a wonderful way to parent. And I think I turned out okay. You know, I mean, it could have gone other ways. You know what I mean? But so I take that. You know, when I see Alder, you know, freaking out or doing something that's just like, what are you doing? You know, I just take a breath. You're just a child. You'll grow out of it, or you're smart enough to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, that's something I learned from my parents' parenting style. It was very laid back and trusting. You know, like they really trusted me. So, and you know, I hope I deserved it. Maybe I didn't at the time. I'm sure I didn't at the time. But I don't know. I just that one stuck out. Just, you know, and I was crying. You know, I was upset. You know, I didn't want to let my dad down. I just messed up this van driving through the field all drunk with a bunch of buddies. But so I don't know. Yeah, well,
Both from a child perspective and from a parent perspective, I've learned that one of the most devastating statements that you can ever utter is, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, that'll really bring it down.
Man. I remember how I felt after it, and I've said it to my kids and just watched
them just like, crash.
Exactly. There's weight to those words. So just use them sparingly.
Yes, yeah.
Only pull out the ace when you really want to pull out the ace.
But then at the same time, I do want to say my dad, we're sitting in my music studio. He taught me how to play guitar. He brought music into my life. Yeah. You know, and not only that, but he brought music gear into my life because he was a collector. He is a collector. So a lot of this that we're sitting around is actually his.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot from my dad, how to build covered patios and also how to play music. You know, so.
Oh, it sounds as though you learned a little bit of patience too.
Yes.
So there's an awful lot of traits that you've taken from your dad that you now imbue yourself.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
And I would hope that, you know, it carries on down the line.
Yeah.
And that's something that maybe it's just an example that you set. That maybe that's something that Alder will pick up as he goes along.
I hope so.
So, with that, this is a totally unfair question, and I recognize that when I ask it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you a better father than your dad?
See, I don't know. Maybe we're the same. There we go. That's the cop-out answer. It's the easy one. My dad worked a lot and he traveled a lot, and I work. I work probably the same amount, but I'm starting to travel more. So he also traveled a lot, and but I'm starting to travel a lot too. But I don't know. I think it's just maybe the flow. Like I'm teaching my children how to play music. I don't know.
Well, since you're so musically inclined, I'm curious to know: is there a particular song that you associate with your dad?
Oh yeah, dude, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So, one of the very first, probably the first. Well, I've got two songs, but I'll do the first one.
Yeah.
Because one of the first memories I have, we lived in the woods, kind of out, and it was a suburb. It was an old money suburb at the end of the Philadelphia main line or whatever. So we were surrounded by horse farms, but we were in the woods, and we didn't really hang out with a lot of people on the weekends or whatever. It's not like Portland where there's always something. You're always seeing people or doing something,
Right.
So, my dad and my mom would party a little bit on Friday and Saturday, and that's totally normal. And he would put on rock and roll music from the 60s because he loved listening to rock and roll music. And I remember one of my earliest memories is him putting on Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, Iron Man.
Okay, yeah.
And he's just like, he must have been a little tipsy because he was like, just listen to this organ solo. Just listen to the organ solo. And that's one of my earliest memories. My dad telling me, listen to the organ solo of Black Sabbath. And it's like, okay. And I remember being on the porch and he had the music cranked because he loves music. Like, he loves loud music. His speakers are bigger than my house. Like, it's ridiculous. We always had really big speakers. And, and then so we listened to the organ music, and we really got into Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, and we were young, like maybe 5 or 6.
Wow.
And he let us borrow his vinyl, and we had the Fisher-Price vinyl player, the tan one that was like made for I Am a Little Muffin Man.
Right.
But we'd play Black Sabbath on that thing. I am Iron Man. We'd be up in the room, just like up in our bedroom, just jamming out to Iron Man on vinyl.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was cool. And we listened to a lot of Eric Burdens and the Animals, and then we listened to some In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. We had some special moments with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't my dad wasn't necessarily into the really heavy metal stuff. A lot of his stuff was like Madman Across the Water, Elton John,
Okay, yeah.
and Jim Croce, and Gordon Lightfoot, and a lot of those sorts of things. And he'd kick it up to a level of Rolling Stones, and Beatles, and those sorts of things. That was about as hard as he went.
Got?
Maybe some Bon Jovi every now and then, some Dire Straits.
When he got really wild.
Right. I think I might have even remembered him listening to like an AC/DC song or two.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't want to get too carried away. But yeah, the ones that stick out to me are like Dan Fogelberg. He had a Leader of the Band.
Okay, yeah.
Was a big song, and then of course the default is the Cats in the Cradle.
Oh, Cats
sort of thing.
Cradle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was funny living in the woods with my folks and listening to heavy metal and basically 60s rock all through the 80s but I didn't get any 80s music. I got nothing. I didn't even understand Thriller as an album until I moved, until I was like 35 and then picked it up as a vinyl and been like putting it on. I was like, hey, have you guys heard of Thriller? This is a really good album. And everyone just stopped and looked at me like, what? What do you mean?
Where have you
been? Yeah, no, and where have you been has happened to me a lot in my life. What do you mean you don't know Thriller's a good album? It's it's fucking good. This is a solid album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, I missed the 80s, but I was living comfortably in the 60s rock zone.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to take a little break.
Okay.
And then we'll come back and we'll do one of my favorite sections, which is the rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Awesome. Back again.
Rapid fire time.
Absolutely.
You need to have a little like little jingle or
Yeah, you can play all you want while we do this. That's totally fine by me. We're going to hit you hard first.
Uh-oh.
Have your children seen you cry?
I'm pretty sure they have. I cry a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
I do. I do all the time.
I'm sure they've seen me cry.
We're not talking just like a punch in the junk kind of cry. Yeah.
That's a good question. Pass. Do I get a pass?
Yeah, you can pass. That's totally fine.
Shit. Pass on that one. Yeah, I'll think about that.
Beverage of choice?
Apparently right now it's the Bad Hafezia IPA. Before
Only gold medal beers for me, thank you.
I also like Burnside IPA and Fremont IPA. And then later in the evening I switched to Rainier.
Fair enough. Stick or automatic?
Automatic. The first time I ever drove stick, I thought you had to start at 1 every time. So I was going 40 or 50 miles an hour, put that fucker in 1, and it wasn't my car. I was borrowing my buddy's car, and he needed a whole new transmission after I gave it back to him.
Oh, damn.
Sorry, dude.
This one is sports related. If you go to a baseball game, first or third base. If I don't preface it with it's a baseball game.
Well, then it's both.
Right. So if you go to a baseball game, do you sit on the first base side, third base side?
Whatever one has a waiter.
All right. Well, either one possibly, depending upon how good a ticket you buy. Who cooks between you and your wife?
You know, it's pretty split. I do the dishes. I default to cleaning up, but she's been cooking more. When she was working, I was always cooking, but now that she's stayed at home, she's cooking.
Cool.
It's cool.
Favorite tool?
Favorite tool? Tool for what? Just any tool?
Right. Tool in your toolbox or your garage.
Probably a staple gun.
Staple gun.
I mean, look at my this is all stapled to the ceiling. You know, like you look around and I use staple guns all the time.
Fair enough. Let's see here. We covered last thing that you grilled and when?
I mean, it's probably sausages, maybe April, May, June, July. See, I don't even know my months. Probably September. Okay. We have a Weber.
At the end of the year?
Yeah, at the end of the year. Sausages at the end of the year.
Okay. You mentioned you have a Weber, but do you have a preference between gas or charcoal?
We only have charcoal, yeah. And that's my family. That's my dad. You know, we just do charcoal. Rachel's always like, why don't we get a gas? Because you just turn the thing on and you put the sausages on there, done.
Right.
No, you start, whatever.
It's an art. It's an art.
Yeah, it's a thing. You know, it's a thing.
Greatest fear as a father?
Not being a father anymore.
Oh.
Deep, huh?
Yeah. No, that is absolutely true. That one hits hard.
Mm-hmm.
What is your biggest challenge right now?
Right now, not playing the shit out of this piano. Just kidding.
As a dad.
As a dad.
We'll clarify.
Oh, as a dad.
It still could be that.
Gearing up. I think it's getting Ren to fall asleep on her own, and and watching Rachel struggle with that because Rachel's in there, and it takes like a long time for Ren to go to sleep, and weaning. When that comes, I'll be on the front lines of that one. You know what I mean?
Right. Biggest challenge for the future. Like, what do you anticipate being the biggest issue going forward?
Probably settling another planet.
Okay.
But like in my
As
lifetime,
a dad.
as a dad. Okay.
As a dad.
Okay. As a dad, Yeah, I don't know. Navigating the schooling system just pops up. Just making sure. So when my kids go, I always think like when I went out in high school, my mom always said like, no broken backs, no cops, and I'm gonna extend that like no broken backs, no cops, no pregnancies, no powdered pills. It's just like 4 things. Like just
right. Right.
Otherwise, just...
Did you break one of the 4 rules?
Did you break one of the 4 rules?
All right. Who are dads that inspire you?
Dads that inspire me, like besides my dad and.
It can be your dad. It can be celebrity dads. It can be.
You know, the only. Well, you know, I mean, I like Richard Feynman, but he was also kind of a sexist asshole too. So that's not so good anymore. He was really smart, but I don't know. I kind of wish I knew. I wish I knew my dad's dad a little bit more when I was older, because he passed away when I was in middle school, and he sounded like a pretty cool guy.
Awesome.
Actually, I wish I had been able to chill with him a little bit more in my later years.
Electric or regular razor?
Regular, always regular.
Okay. Do you shave down or shave up?
Both. I shave a cross grain.
Really?
Cross grain, whatever
Shit.
I feel like, just whatever is hurting the most, I feel like is getting the most.
Wow! Holy crap! Because I can do up and I can do down, and I'll do both in order to get like a really nice shave. But this side
I
thing,
don't give a shit.
right?
Gotta get it.
Man, that's just
I'm also
need that skin.
I'm also drinking coffee in the morning. Like the first thing I do in the morning, I wake up, I brew a cup of coffee. I drink coffee in the shower.
Nice.
Just
Shower coffee.
shower coffee.
The only thing better than a shower coffee is a shower beer.
At maybe 2 or 3 p.m.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I've had one at 8 a.m. You know, but it's always on like I'm on a weekend vacation.
Oh
out
yeah, okay.
out
There we
camping
go.
or something
Yeah,
like that,
If you're,
right?
If you're not like on your way to work,
Right.
you need to talk to someone.
Oh yeah. Okay. Best. Well, I think we might already know this one, but best thing you've ever made with your hands.
Made with my hands.
Yeah. You can say music.
Yeah.
You can say patio.
No, I mean, like, to be honest, I'm thinking it's like a nice focaccia I made once.
Nice.
It was really good, you know, because like you're in there with your hands, you're kneading the dough, you cook it. So the thing about focaccia is you cook it like, I don't even know if I'm saying that
Pay
right.
attention, everybody.
You cook it, so whatever they tell you to cook it at, if they say 12 minutes, bump it down to 8, take it out at 9. Nice. You know what I mean? And then don't spare the olive oil.
Right. Good stuff.
But after that, music, of course. But music's more from the heart.
Sure. But I don't expect you to rip your heart out of your rib cage and start
smashing it. You know, that would be a killer ending to a show.
That's a one-time thing, though.
One-time thing.
Favorite book to read in regard to being a dad? Whether it's like providing advice or maybe it's your favorite book to read to your kids.
To my kids? Well,
I mean, it could be either one.
Being like a dad, the best dad book, or the best book I'm reading as a dad.
Sure.
I really feel like there was one right there. Actually, no. Okay, Winnie the Pooh. I picked up a copy of the original Winnie the Pooh, a copy of the first edition.
Awesome.
And I like it. Like I get stuff out of it, and Alder gets stuff out of it. You know, Ren's still a little young for it.
Sure.
But it's that's a good one. That's a really good one.
You know, there's a Tao of Pooh.
Is there?
There is, and that is an actual fun read to read through. So might be worth picking up.
Totally.
Yeah. My kids are all about Hop on Pop.
Oh yeah, Hop on Pop.
Right.
But cat, don't hit that cat. Yeah.
Yep.
No, Pat. No, don't sit on that.
What a day Dad had.
Yeah, what a day Dad had. Poor Dad said.
My favorite when I was growing up was getting my dad to read Fox and Socks.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that one?
I don't know that one. Maybe I did.
It's a Dr. Seuss one.
Yeah.
It's all tongue twisters. And I would bust a gut listening to my dad read this thing because he struggled through it every single time.
Okay.
And he would get frustrated with it.
We have it. Are there multiple tongue twisters, so Dr. Seuss ones?
Yeah.
Okay, because we have another one that's like,
Yeah.
he see she tomorrow, but hear me not today. Or at the very end.
Fox and Socks is fantastic. Like I said, I loved it when I was a kid, and then I became an adult, and then I had to read it. It was like, son of a bitch.
At least it's not 8 a.m. when you're hungover.
Right. Okay. What are you most looking forward to?
Oh my God. to see what they become, to see what my children become. You know, like I cannot wait for them. I mean, I can wait. Take your time growing up because I want them to.
Yeah, you don't want.
I don't want it to go fast. Yeah. But I'm very, very excited to see, what they're like when they get out of, when they grow up, when they become people, when they get out of college, or I'm hoping they go to college, and what they major in and what their life choices are and where they land, and there's the future, and I'd love to meet my grandchildren if they choose to have them. You know what I mean? Like all those things, like those are the long-term goals,
right?
My
we got to talking with Anna and Bailey. They came over on Tuesday, and Max was upset because I'm going to spend all of Sunday with her, and she wanted to have some time with Mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so Max said, I don't want to spend the whole day with Dad. And Anna and Bailey were like, what, are you kidding? I would love to spend the whole day with Dad. And me listening to this was like, oh my God, my teenager kids want to spend a whole day with me. What the hell is that? And so I asked him, like, well, what's that all about? It was like, well, it's more of like a bucket list thing. Where Bailey said, I want to, they both had it as separate thoughts.
Yeah.
And Bailey said, I really want to go to Minnesota and go to a baseball game with you and see the Twins play in their stadium. And I was like, oh my God, that's so great.
Let's do it.
Right, exactly. And then Anna heard that and she goes, oh, I want to do that too. But my thing was going to Chicago and seeing the Bears play and going out for pizza. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I am totally down
way
for
more
both of those.
Fun than best. But yes, both of them are good.
Yeah. And so just hearing that was just a huge validation of like everything that I've done as a dad.
Wonderful, man.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Good. That's good. So we're going to wrap this up for a quick moment. We're going to come right back with our final thoughts.
Okay.
And we'll take it from there.
All right.
Thank you. We're back, Tim. Nice to have.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, cheers. Thanks.
This is absolutely cheers.
Yes, no, thanks
to
for
dads.
coming. To dads.
Both here and there.
Future dads, and to the mothers, of course.
And the mothers who make us fathers.
Who make us fathers.
Absolutely. So, with that, we've just got our closing thoughts. First things first, you're a very accomplished musician. So tell us a little bit more about what you got going on.
So I play under the moniker of Ellington Willoughby. You can check us out on the web, Facebook, whatever. We're recording our second album now. If you could see the entire studio space, we're recording it here. That's what all this stuff is. Hopefully it should be out middle of this year, our second album. So fingers crossed. You know how recording goes. So check us out, and we'll be playing a show hopefully in May, June, and in Portland, Southeast, maybe Northeast. I don't know. So wherever there's a piano, I need a piano this time. So
That's great. That's great. So what I like to do in these episodes is give the dads an opportunity to talk to future children. In the event that these actually stick around, this is a little bit of a time capsule.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you have an opportunity to share your thoughts with future
Ren and Alder.
Future Ren and Alder.
Well, I will give future Ren and Alder a huge I love you. My life would be 1 billionth of a value as it would have not been without you here. That makes sense?
Absolutely.
I hope so. Because when I bike a lot, and I'm in some close calls biking to work.
It happens. Yeah.
And I think, if I get hit or or just in general, when my time comes, I pray to God or whatever there is that, my last thought is, what my children had said to me that day or something, like something particularly wonderful they had said. And I was like, wow. I couldn't imagine a better thing to go out on than just hearing my son or daughter say, I love you. You know what I mean? And it's just absolutely just mind blowing.
Yeah. Well, if you're paying attention, Alder and Ren, you should know that I know you're dead only a very little bit, but what I do know is a person who is extremely genuine. And I really appreciate everything that you've shared with us tonight, and sharing your space with us and your thoughts. So with that, there's only one thing left to do, which is to ask you your favorite dad joke.
Oh, my favorite dad joke. All right, well, I think I'm going to cross-pollinate dad jokes with pirate jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's totally doable.
Okay, let's get this together here. Okay, so what is the pirate's favorite letter?
What is the pirate's favorite letter? I would think that it would be R.
R. You'd think it was R, but the pirate's first love is always the sea.
I love that joke. That's so great.
All right, and I do want to go out on a head trip of a thought.
Yeah, please.
Can we do it?
Yeah.
So my one regret about life is that it's linear, not secular. That I can't dip back into.
Yeah.
The moments that I can't go back to when Alder was 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I would do anything to go back there.
Isn't that? Yeah.
And just relive those moments because they're so special, and they're so fast. And a lot of them are already gone because like you're not sleeping, your brain's not tracking those things, so.
Yeah, you try to soak it up as much as you can your first time through, and
even the second,
a second time through, yeah.
You just, so to the future dads or to my future grandchildren, if you find this in 1,000 years. What year? It was 2018 now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dark times.
The dark times. But seriously, when they say it goes fast, it goes fast.
That's fast.
Don't sleep on it.
Absolutely. Soak
it in.
So we're going to close with one last thought, just for our viewers. We'd like to do a little bit of trivia.
Okay.
And get a little bit of viewer feedback. And so this week the question is going to be, what is your favorite movie moment? Not the entire movie, but just the movie moment between a father and their child. Maybe it's the moment from Field of Dreams, like it is with me, watching the father and son play catch at the end of the game. I'm a big baseball guy, so that really speaks to me. But maybe for other people, it's Hamlet talking to the ghost dad and seeing that. There's a lot of really great moments out there. Anything that springs to mind for you?
I wouldn't call it great, but the only thing that comes to mind is like Steve Zissou and his illegitimate maybe son-in-law, maybe son, like on the boat,
Right.
Not a great one. There are better ones.
That's all right.
But that's a good movie. So we'll see what the listening public has to say about
Absolutely.
that.
Thanks for your time
Hey,
again.
man. Thanks for coming.
Thanks
for having me.
Take care.
Seriously, I've had to lose some serious hairs to sleep because of this perilous pair of trees in the street. Oh, waving goodbye-bye, and everybody's talking about the times of the sight. And now, thank you for the haircut, Sanders, and thanks for the trim. Thank you for the haircut, Sanders, and thanks for the trim, the trim. Places and things.